festival came once a year, painting the night sky with drifting lights. For Emma, it was a tradition she had always enjoyed, but this year felt different. She walked alone along the riverbank, carrying a single lantern in her hands. She had almost decided not to come, until she saw Daniel waiting by the bridge. He stood there, just as he had every year, his hands tucked in his pockets, his smile warm but uncertain. "Emma," he said softly. "Daniel." She hesitated, then joined him. The last time they had spoken, they had argued, dreams of the future pulling them in opposite directions. She wanted to leave for the city, while he had chosen to stay. They had walked away from each other, neither willing to bend. And yet, here they were. He nodded toward her lantern. "Making a wish?" She managed a small smile. "Maybe. You?" "I was waiting to see if you'd come back." The words caught her off guard. For a moment, the noise of the crowd faded, and all she could hear was the rush of the river and the steady beat of her heart. "I thought," she swallowed. "I thought I lost you." "You can't lose someone who never left," he replied. The lanterns around them began to rise into the sky, glowing like stars reborn. Emma felt her chest tighten as Daniel gently took her hand, as if he was afraid she would slip away again. "Emma," he whispered, "I don't care where you go. City, mountains, anywhere. I just want to walk beside you." Her eyes stung with tears. She had spent so long believing love meant choosing between dreams. But maybe it was about sharing them. She nodded, unable to speak, and together they lowered their lantern to the water. It floated gently away, carrying their wish into the night. As the river reflected the glow of 1,000 lanterns, Emma leaned against him, feeling his steady heartbeat. For the first time in months, she knew, wherever she went, she was already home. It was nearly midnight when Emma stepped onto the quiet platform. The air was cool, filled with the faint smell of rain. She clutched her book tightly, glancing at the clock. The last train was late, and she hated waiting alone. "Long night?" a voice asked. She turned and saw a young man leaning against a pillar, his messy hair falling over his forehead, a warm smile on his face. He looked tired, but kind. "Yes," Emma said softly. "I almost thought I'd missed it." He chuckled. "You're lucky." "I almost did." They sat down on the same bench, the silence between them surprisingly comfortable. Soon, they began to talk, about books, music, the city at night. Emma was surprised at how easy it felt, as though she'd known him for years. His name was Daniel, and he was traveling back after visiting his grandmother. When the train finally arrived, they chose seats together. The city lights flashed past the windows, and their voices filled the empty carriage. She found herself laughing more than she had in weeks. As the train neared her stop, Emma felt a sudden heaviness in her chest. She didn't want the night to end. "This is me," she whispered. Daniel hesitated, then pulled a pen from his pocket. He scribbled his number on the corner of her book. "Maybe the train doesn't have to be the last place we meet." Emma smiled, her heart racing. She stepped off the train, watching as it disappeared into the night, but for the first time, she didn't feel alone. Days later, she texted him, "About that book you wanted to borrow." And just like that, something new began, born from a late train, a quiet night, and the courage to speak. Evelyn never believed in love at first sight, but the moment she stepped into the little cafe on Willow Street, something shifted. The bell above the door chimed softly, and there he was, Daniel, behind the counter, wiping down a mug with an absent-minded smile. His dark eyes caught hers for just a second, and it felt like the world had paused. She ordered a cappuccino, her voice trembling slightly, and he scribbled her name on the cup with careful strokes. The foam art on her drink was imperfect, a crooked heart, but she couldn't stop smiling. Days turned into weeks, and Evelyn found excuses to stop by. Sometimes she came with a book, other times with nothing but her racing heart. Daniel always remembered her order, and slowly their conversations grew from casual greetings to late afternoon talks about books, dreams, and little regrets. One rainy evening, she arrived drenched, shivering from the storm. Daniel rushed around the counter, draped his jacket over her shoulders, and guided her to a corner seat. He brought her tea instead of coffee. "You look like you needed warmth," he said softly. Her heart swelled. It wasn't the tea or the jacket, it was the way he noticed her, in a world where she often felt invisible. Weeks later, Evelyn finally confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't just come here for the coffee." Daniel froze, then smiled the gentlest smile she'd ever seen. He reached for her hand across the table. "I was hoping you'd say that. Because neither do I." From that day, the cafe became more than a place for coffee, it became the place where their story began. The crooked hearts and foam turned into real ones, beating in sync, and the little cafe on Willow Street carried the quiet magic of a love found in the simplest of moments. The letter in the bookshop. Amelia loved the quiet charm of second-hand bookshops. One rainy afternoon, she wandered into a small shop tucked away on a cobblestone street. The air smelled of old paper and ink, and as she traced her fingers along the worn spines, a folded letter slipped out from between the pages of a dusty novel. Curious, she opened it. The handwriting was elegant, slightly faded. "If you find this, know that I once loved someone more than words could hold. But life took us apart. Perhaps one day, love will find its way back here." Amelia felt her heart tighten. The note wasn't signed. She bought the book, letter inside, and returned the next day. At the counter stood a young man with tousled hair and kind eyes. He noticed the book in her hand and smiled. "You bought Wuthering Heights yesterday, didn't you?" he asked. "Yes," Amelia replied, then hesitated. "I found something inside it, a letter." His expression shifted. "You did?" He looked both surprised and thoughtful. "That letter, it was written by my grandfather. He used to hide little notes in books. He always believed love stories could find new beginnings between strangers." They both laughed softly at the coincidence, though the air carried something tender, almost magical. Over the following weeks, Amelia returned often, pretending to browse, but really to see him. His name was Daniel. He had a quiet warmth, the kind that made even silences feel comfortable. They spoke about books, about dreams, about the little things that gave life meaning. One evening, as they closed the shop together, Daniel handed her a book. Tucked inside was a fresh letter in his handwriting. "If you're reading this, it means I've found someone worth keeping. Would you let this story continue, with us?" Amelia looked up, tears glimmering in her eyes. She didn't need to speak, the way she slipped her hand into his was answer enough. Outside, the rain had stopped, and the cobblestones shone beneath the soft glow of the streetlights. The old bookshop, with its hidden letters, had given them not just stories, but the beginning of their own.